Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another quick pick prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the lightweight bout between Drakkar Klose versus Jeremy Stephens. So Jeremy Stephens is a long-time staple of the UFC. And at first he was at lightweight. I think he was like 100, I'm not saying 100, but he was in the lightweight division for like 5, 6, 7, I don't know, a long time. And then he's been at the the featherweight division for like 5, 6, 7 years. So he's had like a 14-year career in the UFC, or probably definitely over 10-year career in the UFC. So he's been around. He came in the UFC, I think he was early 20s, and now he's like mid 30s. So he's been around the block for, he's been around for a minute. But one thing I will say, he has the most losses in UFC history. That's one thing that's going to be held against him through eternity until somebody else loses more than him. But to lose that many times means you had to be able to stick around and win as well. But most losses in UFC history, not the most wins, but the most losses. So that don't look good. But the fact to be able to stick around and find ways to be able to evolve as well, and to stick around, even become a top 145er and be able to hold his own with some top 145ers and beat some top 45ers. Just dominate Gilbert Melendez, who was an all-time legend of the 155 division in the sport. So he stuck around, he evolved, but again, he kind of stayed in that position of a guy who middle of the pack and can't really get ahead. But what that even had to do with this one against Jakar Close, I had to see with this one is Jakar Close is a slight underdog right now, but I feel that's because Jeremy Stephens has been looking good at 145. He just hasn't been winning. The Yair fight was close. In fact, Yair was destroying him. Then Yair started to fade, and Jeremy Stephens started to look good. Yeah, Zabit was just schooling him, but then Zabit got no cardio, so then Zabit lost with third round, and he was out landing Cater in the first round, and Cater just knocked him out in the second round. Started to find his range, started to let his hands go and let his elbow go, and knocked him on that third round. So he's been looking good, but he's been losing. That's this whole case of Jeremy Stephens. And Jakar Close definitely hasn't fought to the level that Jeremy Stephens hasn't been around as long as Jeremy Stephens fought, and the age difference isn't big. It's a 2-year age difference, like 33 versus 35. Jeremy Stephens will turn 36 at the end of the year, so it's going to be a 3-year age. By the time they fight, it's only going to be a 2-year age difference, so it's not a big thing. But the fact that Jeremy Stephens has the most losses, he has double-digit losses in the UFC. I think double-digit wins, and he's been in some wars. But to get with this one, I think like I said, Jakar Close's last fight, he got knocked out. And that fight might not have been the best telling of his skill set or his fight style, because really his fight style, he's a IQ fighter, I would say. He's not the most amazing striker. He's not the most amazing athlete. He's not the most amazing wrestler or BJJ guy, but he's solid in BJJ and probably can avoid submissions and grapple with some of the best grapplers the sport has to offer, because he trains at the MMA lab, and they got a lot of real well-educated grapplers and well-educated technicians there. So he's solid there. Like Dariush couldn't do nothing with him. Like, he could get some good positions, but he couldn't, he couldn't tap him. He couldn't put him get him in position to tap him, because he knows how to adjust and navigate in these positions, because he's been in them for day in and day out for years. So at the lab, he's solid there. So he's solid in every area, but he's not super phenomenal. He knows what to do. He has good fight IQ. So when he fights like a specialist or somebody that's real good at what they do, like say Tamer, who's a good striker and has a takedown defense to keep him on the feet, he'll lose that fight. Or he fought Dariush, who's one of the most technical fighters in the sport's history, blending the full mixed martial arts game. It was a fight case against Dariush where you can't really there's no real area where you could beat Dariush except to make it a dog fight. So that in that fight he had to make it that fight. But usually he's a fighter that's going to avoid a lot of damage, avoid a lot of activity, and fight a smart fight, mix in wrestling when he needs to mix in wrestling, fight at range, land his shots, and get out of there. That's how typically what Close is. So that fight might give a bad judge of him, but that's just what he had to do in that fight to beat Dariush. And it just didn't plan out. It turned into a 50-50 fight, and he was on the wrong side. But against Jeremy Stephens, he's not going to play a firefight with Jeremy Stephens. I'm not saying he could avoid getting hit by Jeremy Stephens. It's going to be a fight. People get punched. But it's not going to be a case where he's going to make it a firefight. It's not going to be a case where he's going to allow Jeremy Stephens to make it a firefight. He's going to use his distance. He's going to mix in wrestling and really have Jeremy Stephens following him, or Jeremy Stephens following him, and set up his takedown, set up his kicks, and playing the point game and frustrating Jeremy Stephens and eking out a decision, just doing what he has to do, making the right decisions, keeping the fire limited, and dictating when they are active and engaging. Now I'm just, like Jeremy Stevens not really the best at cutting cage. I'm just gonna be honest. He's not. That's not a reason why he lost. He was better at cutting out the cage. He would be able to force these these stand up fights and force these pocket battles, but he's not. That's his case. In fact, so I feel like Close gonna be able to move and he's gonna be able to dictate when they fight when they engage, and it's not gonna be that much fire as much as Jeremy Stevens will need to get that knockout or get that activity. So I see Close being active on his toes, mixing the takedowns, fighting from distance, and keeping the activity to a minimum, and outlanding, outstriking, outpointing, and outsmarting Jeremy Stevens in this one. And also you just got to lean to Close in this one. Just for the fact that yes, you lost to some solid people, and you had your moments in those fights, but the inconsistency is on your record. Is there to see. Coming up in weight class almost out of desperation and riding like a 4-fight losing streak. So in this one, I got Jakar Close via decision.